All right, welcome to Frank Teaches DevOps. In today's video, I have an interesting topic which I've been asked, to do a video on, which is build and publish Docker images, all right, to GitHub Container Registry with GitHub Actions. All right, so today's video is solely on GitHub Actions. So we just need to see how GitHub Actions, all right, behaves. Okay, how GitHub Actions behaves. Yeah, it's very interesting to be interesting. And in this video, I will describe how to use GitHub Actions to build a Docker image. One, publish or push the Docker image to GitHub Container Registry, and then scan the published. All right, the D there. Scan the published image of vulnerabilities with Trivy image scan tool. All right, so I'm going to be doing three parts: building the Docker image, pushing the Docker image to container registry, and scanning that image with a Trivy tool. All right, Trivy image scan tool. Then also I'll send the report. All right, the scan report to GitHub security. All right, so this is just the theory. So let's see the diagram, the architecture. Let's see the architecture, how it looks like. All right, so here's my architecture. So below here is my GitHub repository. All right. So in this repository, I'm going to have my applications, my source code, as well as my Docker file. I'm going to show us everything, as well as my Docker file. All right. Then in here also, I'm going to create a Git workflow. All right. I'm going to create a GitHub workflow. I'll show us all of that. A GitHub workflow. And in that workflow, I'm going to define my actions. I'm going to create my action. All right. In that action, I will define my action script itself. Okay. Now, in this action, what this action will be doing? Okay. What this action will be doing is this action will build a Docker image. All right. After building Docker image, the same action is going to log into GitHub Container Registry, abbreviated as gHCR, all right, and push that image, do a Docker push towards the GitHub Container Registry, all right. Once that is done, the same action is going to use a tool called Trivy, all right. Trivy is a tool from Aqua Security, all right. So we'll see all of that. So this tool is going to scan this Docker image. It's going to check for vulnerabilities, right? After scanning the Docker image, it's going to send a scan report. It's going to publish a scan report to GitHub security, right? So on GitHub security, I can now start going through the analysis as the case may be. I hope it's understood. All right. So let's take it part by part. So the first part is my GitHub repository. So I'll go to GitHub. Yes, my GitHub repository, Frank. This is my organization, Frank. Okay. I have a repository called Actions, which I just created it. Okay. So in this repository, I have a Docker file. So this is Docker file. It's just it's going to build a simple Python application. All right. It's just a simple application. All right. Docker file. Go back to Actions. I have this is my api.py. It's a Python application. All right. I have not written this application. I just copied it from somewhere. I copied it, copy and paste. So yeah, so these are the two files I have. Assuming I have n number of files in this repository, all right, and my Docker file is to build the application as an image. All right. So now I'll start off with creating a .github repository. Sorry, a dot .github folder. So this is the flow. All right. To start using GitHub Actions, all right, you create a .github folder. After that, in that .github folder, you create a workflows folder, and in this workflows folder, you are going to define your actions. All right, your workflow, as the case may be. So I'm going to click on add a file. Add a file. So let's call that file. Let's call it um, build and publish underscore and underscore publish. Build. What kind of name would I give to it? Build Docker underscore img. Right. So build Docker underscore img dot YAML. So there's the file. So in this file, I'm going to be defined my flows, all right? My flows, which are the actions, my flows. So now let's go back to what's it called? Let me close some of these guys. Let's go back. Where I am. Okay, I'm here. Great. So these are diagrams. So in our diagram, I've just shown us our repository. So in this repository, I'm going to define these actions. And the name of the action is, where are you? Build underscore docker underscore image.yaml. So now I'll now start writing my stuffs. All right. I'll now start writing my stuffs. One sec. I'll now start writing my stuffs. Okay. Okay, so the first line will be name. So the name of my um, action. So I'll say build dash docker image e image. Right, just the name. Then now I will now use the on instruction. All right, which is the on instruction, which um is an event. Okay, on a push. Okay, we have so many event types: on push, on pull requests, on schedule, all right, on external events. What this should happen, my action should run, all right. So on push, my action should run, all right. So this is it. So that's the trigger. So the on trigger. So after that, I'm going to define the jobs. One, two. You have to be very careful with the indentation. So I'll define the job names. My job name will be build. Let's keep it Docker underscore img, right? So that's my job name, right? So in this job, I'm going to define the characteristics, the features for this job, right? So give it same indentation. So this job is going to, you're going to use a runner, all right? So runs on, we have different kinds of runners, okay? We have However, this is not a basic class, but I need to just say it. We have two kinds of runners, GitHub runners. We have GitHub hosted runners, and we also have self-hosted runners. So GitHub hosted runners are the runners that are being managed by GitHub itself. Okay, so these are operating systems. So we have Linux operating system, we have Windows operating system, we also have Mac OS. Okay, but in this video, I'll be using um, a Linux runner, which is Ubuntu, and I will be using the latest Ubuntu. So runs on. So this is my action flow is going to run on a virtual server. So runners are virtual server hosted, managed by GitHub. All right. Okay, great. And they have all the necessary packages needed to run any application, anything. Okay, so it runs on Ubuntu latest. So after that, I can now go ahead to define. I can also define the environment because I'll be using the environment variable. Okay, so let's leave that blank, and I will now define my steps. So in the first step, I'll define the name of the step. The name of the step will be checkout. So this checkout, that's GitHub checkout, all right? Checkout. So what is it going to do? I'm going to use an action, all right? It uses actions slash check out at version 1. So this is my first stage. The first stage is going to do a checkout, GitHub checkout, okay? Now, the next step, be careful of indentation, name. So I'm going to, the next step will be for building Docker, all right? Build Docker, build Docker image, all right? So I'm going to use the run instruction. So the run instruction is used to pass what's it called, commands, all right, to your flow. So in here I'll be using Docker build dash T. I'll be tagging it and dollar tag. So this, I'll create this first environment variable. So my first environment variable will be tag. The value, let's call that this image is a Python, right? Um, let's call it Python API. Python dash API. A Python dash API. Okay, so tag this guy, call this variable. I'm calling that environment variable that contains this value Python API. And since my Docker file is in my root of my GitHub repository, I'm going to be using the dot context, right? So the dot context. So, okay, so I've built, this will build this image, okay? So after building this image, what else? What else? So after building this image, I'm going to okay. Now I need to log into gHCR, which is my container registry, GitHub Container Registry. So when I log into my GitHub Container Registry, I will need to start performing those actions. All right, those push and whatever. So that should be another step. Name, login to gHCR. Okay, log into gHCR. So what are we doing here? So run, since I'll be running multiple lines of commands, it wouldn't make sense I use too much of run instructions. I'll show us please. I'll show us in the GFig. Okay, so what I'll be doing is here it is. Okay, so okay, login. I'm going to show us this part. Echo dollar my personal access token. I'm going to create this. Okay, I'm going to create this. Let me show us where I will show us also where I've gotten um this script from, this login prompt. Sorry, login statement. So Docker login. All right, so Docker login to ghcr.io. Okay, specify the user, and we'll say, all right, let me just go straight. Okay, let's go to the documentation for let's use the documentation. So if I say ghcr.io, okay, let's use the proper documentation. Okay, this will not get me that, so let me go to Google. Let's go to Google, and I do docker docker login container registry, docker login container registry. Then I go to this first documentation. Let's see. Okay, great. So here it is. So this is gHCR documentation. All right. So this is where I've picked this guy from. Okay. So this is your token. So this part is your token, personal access token. So let's copy all of these. Let me copy all of this. Copy it. Come to our editing. Where are we? Okay. So let me put it somewhere here. Okay, so echo paths, Docker login, gHCR user is user dash dash standard input. So standard input means I'm going to be passing my password on the terminal. Okay, so I will show us this now. Let me delete this line. Okay, so let me show us how to create a personal access token. So to create a personal access token, let me duplicate my GitHub. Let me duplicate this GitHub. So go to your organization here, all right, your profile picture, and come to settings. When you come to settings, I hope this thing hasn't clear. Great. Come to settings and go to developer settings. All right. So click on developer settings and go to personal access token. So there are two. We have token classic. So use the token classic. Click on tokens classic. So here you can create your access token. I have one already which I've created. Or I call it push towards gHCR. So now you can now click on what? Click on new token. So it's going to be classic. Click on classic. All right. So give it a name. So just give it a name. Whatever my token, as the case may be. All right. Then select the scope which aka which more or less is the access. All right. So once you select the scope you need and click on what generate token. So I'll not be generating anyone now because I have one already which is still valid and I'll be using. So this is how I got this guy created. Where's that guy? So let me close this. So that's this process. I got this part created. So I'll be calling this guy from my environment variable. So this will be the next environment variable I'll create. So I'll go back to my environment variable. That will stay path. So my path is going to be I'll be calling um in GitHub. I'll be calling that token with a global environment variable. So in GitHub, we have a global environment variable called GitHub underscore token. All right, GitHub underscore token. So I will be calling that environment variable using a keyword called secrets dot dat. All right, so I'll be saving that token because once token is you can only see it once. All right, so once you've created it you can't see it. Now to use it, once you've created the token, GitHub token, you can't see the value anymore. All right. So the best way is if you want to use it some other time, you have to during the process of creating it, you have to save the token ID. All right. But now I don't have that token ID, but because I've already created it. Okay. So the only way I can call that token ID is by using this global environment variable called GitHub underscore token. So the GitHub underscore token has a value towards my personal access token. Okay, so that's the personal access token I will be using here, and I'm passing it on the terminal. That's why I'm using this keyword password standard input. Right, so this is going to log me into my GitHub repository, but I have another variable called user here. So my user is my GitHub user account. So I'll come here, I'll say user. So my GitHub user account name is Frankie's Info Tech. All right. So that's my GitHub user account. So you can see Frankie's Infotech over here. That's my GitHub account. So yeah. So after login, I need to do a push. All right. We need to do we need to tag it first before we push it. But if I come down here and do the same thing wrong, I'm making use of the wrong instructions multiple times, which doesn't look nice. It looks so messy. So for me to avoid all of these, I'm going to use my YAML multi-line concept. So with YAML multi-line concept, I'll be using run column, the pipe symbol. So the pipe symbol will instruct YAML to run these statements independently, right? But using that same instructions. So indent it. Okay, so echo this guy. So the next line will be Docker tag. All right, so I'm tagging this guy. Okay, so Docker tag. Let's call our tag. So we're calling this Python API Docker tag. So let's tag gHCR.io. So this is my registry. So I can also come back over here and define an environment variable called registry. So registry. So my registry is what? gHCR.io. Okay, so I'll love to call my registry. I'll say dollar. I could do it like this, dollar registry. Okay, I could also do it like this, dollar. I could use interpolation. All right, open brace space env dot registry. So now I'm targeting in JSON. All right, so targets a value, use the parent value dot the key value pair, right? To target to, dot the key dot the parent value dot the key to target the value. So this is how it is. Env dot registry. I'm going to target this value. All right. So that's it. That's in JSON. Okay. Sorry. So yeah. So I'm tagging this guy. All right. What comes next? Docker tag slash the user. Okay. Dollar. Like I said, I'll use different variants. User, always going to work. Slash the tag. All right. Slash the tag is going to be dollar tag. All right. Colon version. So I'll define a version environment variable here. So version. So version will be, let's say, call it v1. So version one of this application. So column dollar open brace. So I'll use my env dot version to target that guy and close it. So this what's gonna happen. Okay. So this let me just explain this tag and the let me just convert these environment variable. So my registry will be ghcr.io slash user Frankie's infotech slash the tag, which is the image name, Python Python what dash API column the version v1. So this will be the full image URL. All right, this will be the full image URL. So that's it. So this is what's happening here. All right, great. So I'm just giving you advanced feature, guys. I'm giving you advanced feature. So what next on our table will be to push it. So Docker push, after logging in, you tag it. After tagging it, now do a Docker push. So Docker push, I'm going to copy all of these. Push these guys. Copy, paste. So push this guy. This is fine. Now we've logged in and we've tagged it and we've pushed it. So the next step we are through with everything Docker. So next step will be the scanning. Okay, so if you can see, should I explain? All right, no issues. So the next phase will be the scanning phase. Name. Right. Let's call that image what? Scan. Scan. Sorry. So this is the next step. All right. So image scan step. So the image scan step, I'm going to be using some actions. So I'll say uses Aqua Security. So Trivy is a tool from Aqua Security. So Aqua Security, they are the developer. All right. They are the developer of Aqua. Sorry, Aqua Security. They are the developer of Trivy, of the image scanning tool Trivy. So let's quickly look up what what Trivy is. Let's come back here. Um, sorry. Let's go to Google. Trivy from Aqua Security. So click on the first link. So let's see what Trivy is. And oh, sorry, it's taking me to the project. So let's check the project on GitHub. Let's check the README. Okay, Trivy pronounced like trigger, V pronounced like MV. It's a comprehensive security scanner. It is reliable, fast, extremely easy to use, and it works with wherever you need it. Trivy has different scanners, scan image, it scans file system, it scans repository, it also scans for Kubernetes cluster or resource. All right, so these are the scanners, vulnerability scanning, and blah 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 blah. Yeah, okay, this is the usage. This is the usage. If you want to scan a file system, if you want to scan an image, if you want to scan an image, okay, so these are different ways, all right, the usage. Okay, so just get your hands on Trivy. All right, so back to right, so it uses aqua security. So this is the action that Trivy uses. So we have to call that action that has those um, those plugins. All right, it's like you're calling a plugin. Okay, so it uses aqua security slash Trivy dash action at master. All right, great. So after that, you use some with, all right, you define some reference, all right. So our image ref will be um, all of these to be in double quote. So this will be our image reference. So copy this as it is. Copy this as it is and put it there. So that's your image reference. Then security checks will be, so I will be checking for vulnerability. All right, I'll also be checking for secrets, and I will be checking for config. Now what this thing means is, if since it's an image, so definitely it's going to be scanning for vulnerability. Assuming it was a configuration or a kind of an environment variable, right, to check for secrets, okay, and as well as to check for config as well, okay, if you have config. But in this context, it is an image, all right. So I'll be checking for, I could remove this part, just check only for vulnerability. But to be on the safer side, all right, let's check for secret as well as what config. Okay, then the format for this check will be Sarif, um, sans serif. You've known about that, what's it called? That uh, um, Times New Roman. Why do I forget this? Oh, let's go ahead. I'll remember. All right, format is Sarif, and then the output is going to be in Trivy. All right, Trivy dash image dash results dot Sarif. Okay, then we also define the severity. Severity will be critical, critical or high. Okay, critical or high severity. All right, so now this phase is going to scan this image. So we'll go back to our documentation. You see, sorry, I said documentation. Our architecture. So that part we are this that step we are on now is going to scan using Trivy to scan this Docker image. So after scanning Docker image, we need another step to publish Docker image towards GitHub security. So let's come back. So after this step, come to the next step, which is what? Upload the scan results to GitHub security. All right. So it's going to use as well. It's going to use some action. Uses some plugin. Uses what? GitHub. GitHub slash code QL. Right. Dash action slash upload serif at version 2. Okay, GitHub action code QL dash action upload serif sans serif fonts. Thank you. Yeah, kind of. Okay, so it's going to use it along with, so define the with instruction along with, so serif underscore file. So which file? So I'm going to be referencing the output file, right? So I'll reference this output file in here, copy that, bring it here, paste it. Then the category is image. So if you can see from, we have different categories. Oh, sorry, from this documentation. So the categories were AKA the targets. All right. Yeah, they've called it targets. Image, file system, repositories. So in our own context, we are targeting the image category. So the category is going to be what? Image. Yep, I think that's all. That's all we need to do. Image, image. So now let's take it one after the other. Let's go back. Let's take it from the bottom, from the top. Sorry. So this is the flow name, build Docker image. This is the event on push. All of this job should run on the push to my repository and to that branch. All right, all of this should run. So the job name is build Docker image, and on the job, okay, so on this job, I'll be using a runner, and the runner will be using Ubuntu latest. So I've created some environment variables, okay, and one is tag, Python API, path, which is the personal access token, and I'm using secret.token global and environment variable to call that access token. Then user is Frankie's Infotech. Registry is this. Version is V1. Steps, I'm doing the first phase, which is checking out. After checking out, the next step is to build the image. So Docker build dash T, targeting that image. All right. The next one is to log into gHCR. So after you log in, um, I'm passing my personal access token um, on the terminal, all right? Because I will not be there to impute those the password, to impute the password. So for that, I'll pass it as a TTY, as a standard input, as a standard input. That's why I've used this other flag, password standard input. All right, Docker login to this, and I can also call my registry here. I could do something like this: dollar into env dot registry. Okay, and remove this parts. Great. So log in into your container registry, which is this, and user, you call your user anyhow you want to call it. Then tag blah 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 blah, targets, Docker push, and for the image scan, using this action, all right, Aqua Security, from Aqua Security. So these are just the plugins, all right. Download all the plugins, the Trivy plugins needed to run these steps. All right, image reference, we are referencing the image, all right. This will be your gHCR.io slash Frankis Infotech slash Python API and the version. So that's that. So let's commit this guy. So the moment I click on commit, it should trigger because in here we've defined that on push this should happen. So once it's done, let me duplicate this tab so that duplicate. So I need to see my pipeline. So I'll click on what actions. So click on actions. Actions will take me there, and I didn't separate this guy. This should be the guy. Docker build image is failing. All right. So let's see why it's failing. Okay. Okay. It's like it's a naming the way I've named it. So there's no graph for me. So the way I've named this file is wrong. Okay. So click on the file. All right. Click on edit. Click on edit and remove this parts. You can make it one word. Build Docker. We could use dash. Let me use dash and see. All right. Let's commit it. So the naming pattern has caused that error. So let's go back to actions. All right. So if I go back to come back here, all right, we still have the same problem. So let me change it back. It's not coming fine. So let's edit. Okay. Should I use a camel case? Let me see if I use a camel case, it will work. The YAML. So commit and commit. The naming style though. All right. So let's check back actions. Let's refresh. All right. If you're still having the same problem, come back, edit, um, Docker. All right. No capital letter. IMG. Build Docker image, the YAML. All right. So commit and save. So the naming does not accept all of that. So let's come back here, refresh. Why is it giving me this? Don't give me this. Workflow. Okay, so I have a syntax error on line 7. So let's go back to the flow file. Let's see. Okay, edit. Okay, all right, there should be a column here. Okay, I see. So let's commit it and commit. Let's commit that. Why is it taking time to save? Network. All right, so let's commit. Franklin has committed since you started editing. See what changed. All right, so let's go to actions. Let's see what has changed in actions. Come to actions. Build Docker image. So this is build Docker image. So let's see. There's the run. So let's check it. So let's open it and see. Okay, so it actually built the image. Let's see. Docker build tag, blah, 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 blah. So let's see. And it tagged it as Python API latest. And then the next phase, which is logging into GCR, gHCR Container Registry. Let me see this build step again. Okay, so it's trying to log in. All right. So this is the next step that is happening. So it's trying to log in. So it's trying to log in line 24. Let's see. So that successfully logging. So fatal error. So it's saying that the image format. So it logged in successfully. Okay, login was succeeded, and image scan failed. Let's see what failed. So it's saying that image scan could not pass reference. Why is it using okay dollar user dollar tag? Okay, so let's see that part. Could not pass reference. Um, Let me close this work file. All right, edit. So could not pass this reference. Yeah, image ref. So this is where we are having this challenge. Dollar user. So you can't pick this dollar user. So for you to pick this dollar user, we might want to use the environment variable dots. All right. So followed by dots. So I'll use curly brace env dot user curly brace. The same thing will happen to this tag. Curly brace env dot tag curly brace, and I think this should work. All right, you could pass this. You can see from that error. Let me duplicate this guy. Duplicate from the error which we have. Go to actions. Build Docker image. All right, let's check that error. Go back to the error. Docker build image. You can see it could pass that env dot registry, but it cannot pass this guy. So from now it also pass the env dot version, which is v1. All right, so that's great. So this should fly now. Env dot user env dot tag. So let's save it, commit and commit. So this should work. All right, so let's go to actions. uh Go back to build docker image that started building. So open the action. Okay, so let's observe it. um which stage is this? It's checking out. Okay, why is it building up here? So let's look at docker build image. All right, it's going to build it successfully. It's succeeded. It's logging in. All right, while it's logging in, so it's now scanning it. So let's see. I think this should fly. This should be a success. I think we're fine. All right, guys. Let's see. Vulnerability scan is enabled, and yeah, secret scanning is also enabled, and configuration scanning should be enabled. All right. It takes some time. Takes some time. We're on the scanning phase. It takes some time. All right. So let me just pause, and once it finishes scanning, I'll be right back. Okay, it just finished the scanning phase. All right. So okay, detected OS is Debian, blah 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 blah. Building serif reports with options, vulnerability type, OS library. Okay, you can see now this it has finished parsing the entire image URL. So it has to be the registry, the user, the tag, and the version. All right. So The next phase step was upload the scan result to GitHub security, which it did. All right. So using this plugin, GitHub, whatever, uploading results. Okay, as this is the output, successfully uploaded results, waiting for process finished, and yeah. So far we've been able to deploy to automate deployment of building the Docker image. All right, so let's check our so we build this Docker image, all right, and push this Docker image to GitHub Container Registry, and we also use Trivy as a tool to scan that Docker image and send the report to GitHub security. So let's see all of these parts. First and foremost, let's go and see the GitHub Container Registry. Okay, so you can see my build process was successful with a green check. Okay, so let me duplicate this tab before. Okay, let's check for the. Let's go to GitHub Container Registry. So to go to GitHub Container Registry, you click on your organization name. Let me go back. So this is what you do. You click on your organization name. Click on the organization name. So once you click on your organization name, you go to what? Packages. All right. So click on packages. You should see your build here. Can you see? So this is the build. So once you click on this guy, Python API, so that is your so your image, sorry. So this is your image. So this is your image and this is how it looks like. Docker pull. So if I want to pull this image, I can copy this guy and come to my terminal. Sorry for this big terminal. Come to my terminal and do something. Let me just paste it. Docker pull from that registry and hit enter. It should download that Python API for me to my Docker to my machine. All right. So you can see it's being downloaded, pulling from Frankie's Python, blah 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 blah. So I think that's it. That's it, guys. I'll also show us the reports. So this is just the image part from the container registry. All right. So that has been pulled. It takes some time. Take some time. Okay, great. It has been pulled, so you can see status downloaded. So if I see Docker images, I should see that guy from this, okay, version one and all of that. Great. So now let's go and see the reports. We have seen the gHCR, which is your GitHub Container Registry. So to check for this security, the report, let's diagram. These are reports on GitHub security. So this is where GitHub security is. So click on this tab, security. So once you click on security, it should take us to here and we can look for, can check out for what? Code scanning. So click on code scanning. So you see a lot. You can see we check for what? Critical and high severity. So the severity is that, all right. So a lot, all right. So let's use a filtering tool. We could use a filtering tool. We check for severity. We check for high. If you click on high, we'll see high CPU denial of service via inefficient IDNA decoder. So these are high severities. Python, this amounts of digits converting text to and it leads to DOS attack. So this kind of function I've used, this developer has used in the image could actually lead to denial of service attack. So let's open that guy and see. So if you click on it and open it, I see the package is this installed version. This vulnerability is this vulnerability ID. Severity is high, and the fixed version is blah blah. This is the fix for this severity. Sorry for this vulnerability. Right. So here is the fix. Okay, and yeah. So let's check the fix. If you click on the fix, it should take us to where that could be implemented. So here's this and Python affected software this and yeah. So this is how you could go around fixing those vulnerabilities. So I think I've actually made justice. All right, I've made good justice to um to GitHub Actions. All right, I've made justice to GitHub Actions. Let's go back to our architecture. So from our architecture, we've seen how we were able, all right, to Dockerize our application using GitHub Actions. All right. After Dockerizing the application, we log into GitHub Container Registry. We tag it after tagging it, and we push it to GitHub Container Registry. All right. The image we push to GitHub Container Registry, and in same manner, we use a tool called Trivy to scan for vulnerability in the Docker image, and also use that same tool to send a scan report to GitHub security. So far, so good, guys. So far, so good. We have seen the entire process. All right. Let's come back to security. Code scanning. Go to code scanning. You see a lot of vulnerability, right? So many vulnerabilities, so much, about 1,255 vulnerabilities just for only this application. All right. So yeah, so just you can fork my repository. You're free to fork this actions repository and make use of the actions that are there. All right. So build Docker image. So here it is. So here it is. All right. So just make use of it and enjoy. So kindly subscribe to our channel. Subscribe to our channel. So that's the only way you can keep encouraging us to do more. Subscribe to our channel, like and share. Share, leave your comments. And thank you so much for following and patronizing Frankie's Teaches DevOps. I hope to see you in our next video. Thank you and have a wonderful Thursday.